The Lebanese Ministry of Health has announced that Israeli airstrikes killed 23 citizens and injured 93 others in the past 24 hours. Lebanese Minister of Education confirms that hundreds of Lebanese schools and universities have been transformed into shelters for the displaced. And the Palestinian Interior Ministry urges citizens not to heed Israeli threats to evacuate their homes and move to southern Gaza. It's past 7 p.m. Cairo local time, and you're watching Q News. And now we move to the latest developments in Lebanon.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
The Lebanese Ministry of Health has announced that Israeli airstrikes killed 23 citizens and injured 93 others. The ministry has confirmed that the strikes targeted towns and villages in southern Lebanon, including Nabatea, Mount Lebanon, and the northern region. Lebanese Minister of Education Abbas Halabi has confirmed that hundreds of Lebanese schools and universities have been transformed into shelters for the displaced. During a press conference, Halabi announced that the postponement of the academic year in Lebanon until November 4th, 2024, amid the intense Israeli aggression on various areas in Lebanon and the displacement of over 1 million people from their homes.
صارت الامور واضحه ومبينه والتلميذ صار بيعرف لما
Israeli Occupation Forces Arab Media Division spokesperson has issued new evacuation alerts for residents of around 25 areas in southern Lebanon. He called on the Lebanese residents to head north of the Awali River immediately. Earlier, Israel issued evacuation orders for areas in the southern suburb of the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Israel has intensified airstrikes in Beirut as international leaders pledge aid and address Lebanon's security challenges.
Israel has expanded its military operations in Lebanon, launching 8 airstrikes on Beirut's southern suburbs, including areas near the capital's main airport. The strikes targeted the Harat Harik municipality, Burj al Barajna, and Shuaifat, with intense raids reported in the southern suburbs. Ambulances were dispatched as smoke rose from the affected areas. In response to the escalating situation, French President Emmanuel Macron announced plans for the international conference to raise humanitarian aid for Lebanon and strengthen security in the country's south. Macron reiterated France's support for the Lebanese armed forces and urged the international community to maintain stability in Lebanon. He also called for a halt to arms shipments involved in Gaza conflict, advocating for a political resolution. Egypt echoed Macron's call to stop arms exports to Israel, condemning Israeli violations of international law in both Gaza and Lebanon. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu criticized Macron's position on arms control. As the U.S. presidential election nears, Vice President Kamala Harris expressed concern over Lebanon's worsening humanitarian crisis. She announced an additional $157 million in U.S. aid to address basic needs as food, water, and protection for the Lebanese people.
Israeli media has reported the interception of a rocket barrage fired from Lebanon towards Haifa and Kiryat Shimona. Meanwhile, the Israeli military urged residents of Kiryat Shimona and settlements in northern occupied Golan to stay close to shelters. Israeli media has also confirmed the launch of 60 rockets on Kiryat Shimona in northern Israel. Lebanese media outlets have reported a wave of displacements from the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps in Beirut. Sources have confirmed that the displacements are due to the continuous and intense airstrikes by Israeli forces on Beirut's southern suburbs. Protests condemning Israeli aggression in Gaza and Lebanon have erupted across the United States. Thousands of activists in Los Angeles rallied calling for an immediate end to Israel's assault on Gaza and Lebanon. Demonstrators carried Palestine and Lebanese flags and banners as they denounced Israeli crimes and demanded an end to the aggression and occupation. The United Nations Children's Fund has announced that more than 100 children have been killed in Lebanon over the past 11 days due to the ongoing Israeli aggression. This is in addition to 690 children injured during the last 6 weeks of Israeli assault. In a statement shared on X, UNICEF highlighted its efforts to provide emergency medical supplies and essential services to affected communities in Lebanon. For more analysis, we move to the newsroom to Mark. Mark?
Thank you, Rana. Now, for more on the political situation in Lebanon, we are joined by Professor of Political Science and former Minister Dr. Amin al-Mashakba, who's joining us here on Qnews. Thank you very much for being on the line with us. I want you to start with the political. How can the current political crisis in Lebanon and also everything that's going on, would it affect the selection of a new president?
Yes, indeed. You know, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to affect the situation in United States because he stands to Donald Trump, because he is not listening to Joe Biden to solve the problem in Gaza or in Lebanon. In this manner, we see that the Likud party as right wing is referring or trying to affect the election in the United States against Joe Biden. This matter, the Israelis right wing in by Benjamin Netanyahu and the others prefer to have Donald Trump to be as a president. From that, not listening to the ideas of the American to solve the problem and to agree to stop this genocide war in Gaza and Lebanon. From that, this will affect the election in the United States in general.
And what about Lebanon? Could the current crisis bring together the different political factions, the divisions and the conflicts within the Lebanese political circle? Doctor, are you with us? Doctor, can you hear me? Let me ask you a different question. Is it possible to perhaps reach a ceasefire in Lebanon soon? Do you think this crisis is going to go on for a long time? Well, currently not being able to get into contact with Dr. Al-Mashakba. I think we lost him on the line there. And for now, let's go back to Rana in the studio.
Thank you, Mark, and sorry for the technical problem. And now for the latest developments in Gaza, we move on with the Palestinian Ministry of Health has reported that Israeli forces have committed 3 massacres against families in Gaza, resulting in 45 deaths and 56 in the past 24 hours. In a statement, the ministry said the death toll from Israeli aggression has increased to 41,870, with 97,166 others injured since October the 7th, 2023. Many victims remain under the rubble and in streets that rescue teams have not been able to reach. The Palestinian Ministry of Health has announced that 986 health workers have been killed since the start of Israel's assault on Gaza in October 2023. The ministry revealed that 23 out of 38 hospitals in Gaza are now out of service, and 130 ambulances have been rendered inoperable due to direct targeting by Israeli forces. The Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor has condemned the Israeli military's intensified bombing and evacuation orders in Gaza, calling it a continuation of an ongoing genocide. In a statement, the Monitor documented over 70 airstrikes and artillery barrages on Jabalia and Beit Lahia that targeted the water distribution vehicles and a shelter packed with displaced civilians. The Israeli army has announced the completion of the encirclement of Jabalia in northern Gaza as part of a military operation to destroy the city's infrastructure. The 102nd Division began operations in the area last night with Air Force strikes targeting dozens of military positions to support ground forces. Local Palestinian sources reported that Israeli forces had advanced east of Jabalia, trapping dozens of families in homes and schools sheltering displaced civilians. The Palestinian Interior Ministry has urged citizens not to heed Israeli threats to evacuate their homes and move to southern Gaza. In a statement, the ministry dismissed Israeli claims of safe zones in southern Gaza, pointing out that all areas of the Strip are being targeted, with Israeli forces committing crimes and massacres against civilians in every region without exception. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged an end to the Israeli war on Gaza, which has ravaged Palestinian lives for a year. In a video message marking the anniversary of the conflict, Guterres called for the release of detainees, a halt to the violence, and an end to the humanitarian suffering sweeping the region. He stressed the need for a permanent resolution to the conflict that will enable Israel, Palestine, and neighboring states to live in peace, dignity, and mutual respect.
Unspeakable violence, including sexual violence, as they were simply living their lives. This is a day for the global community.
Now we move to Riham in our newsroom.
Thank you so much, Rana. We now move to the latest developments in Africa. Egypt's ambassador to Togo, Ahmed Aid, has presented credentials to the President of the Republic of Togo. This came as the President of Togo hosted Aid at the Presidential Palace in the capital Lomé. The President of Togo will pay tribute to Egypt's historical friendly relations with Togo and expressed appreciation for Egypt's achievements and at the domestic and continental levels. Tunisians are voting in the presidential elections today, with incumbent Kais Saied widely expected to secure another term. The two other candidates include a former lawmaker and a businessman. Polling stations opened at 8 a.m. and will close at 6 p.m. with results expected by Wednesday. Voter turnout is being closely monitored as the elections unfold. The Democratic Republic of Congo has launched a vaccination campaign against Mpox, starting with healthcare workers in Goma. The public, particularly those at risk, will begin receiving vaccines on Monday. While 265,000 doses have arrived, millions more are expected from France, Japan, and the U.S. to combat the deadly outbreak. Over 30,000 cases have been reported this year, with nearly 1,000 fatalities, most of whom are children under 5. Crowds in Cape Town protested on Saturday, urging an end to the Israel-Gaza war as the conflict approaches its second year. Waving Palestinian flags and carrying signs accusing Israel of genocide, demonstrators marched to Parliament. Organised by the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, the rally echoed South Africa's support for a legal case in the International Court of Justice, claiming Israel's actions in Gaza constitute genocide. That's it for me. Back to Rana.
Thank you so much, Rehem. And now for the latest sports news and updates. Stay with us. Monaco climbed to the top of the League One with a 2-1 victory over Rennes, thanks to early goals from the Gerard and Balogun. The win moves Monaco 3 points clear of PSG, who have a chance to reclaim the lead when they face Nice on Sunday. Monaco coach praised their strong start but cautioned that the race is far from over. Real Madrid returned to winning ways with a 2-0 victory over La Liga in the La Liga, thanks to goals from Valverde and Junior. After midweek Champions League defeat, Los Blancos moved level with Barcelona at the top of the table. However, the win was overshadowed by a serious knee injury to Dani Carvajal, who was stretched off late in the game. The Lebanese Ministry of Health has announced that Israeli airstrikes killed 23 citizens and injured 93 others in the past 24 hours. Lebanese Ministry of Education confirms that hundreds of Lebanese schools and universities have been transformed into shelters for the displaced. And the Palestinian Interior Ministry urges citizens not to heed Israeli threats to evacuate their homes and move to southern Gaza. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEG to stay informed. For real-time updates connected with us on the UMS digital platform, watch it. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Qnews.